go unchecked, so busy tripping on race and color, wanting to, criminalize only the brother man. Half the time he's doing something ridiculous like carrying enough drugs to get himself high. But a European can molest a string of children and no charges are brought. At best, he might get some temporary mental institution saying he's back out, because this is what this entity I'm talking about, this misleader, wanted people to partake in. So I'm saying that to say, this brother, they found him dead, and nothing ever happened to these people that he went up there with. And I guarantee you let a bunch of melanin-rich people go up in a mountain somewhere with one European anybody and come down without that fool. Everybody's going to jail until they find this fool. And if they find him dead, people are going up on death charges. And this is the problem. This is why the United States is in trouble, because they did not keep the criminal law at a level playing field where it stayed just. So they allowed these entities that I'm talking about to get control of everything, playing color games. And everybody's so busy tripping on color, nobody's watching the prize, which was to stay free and liberated, and to not the Europeans were not supposed to allow themselves to wind up back under the yoke of the people that their parents ran away from. Because they ran away from these people that were raping them and molesting them and kidnapping their children and tying them to racks and boiling them in oil and splitting them to the four winds and beating them with balls with needles on them and eating them alive and, impaling people and on the streets and burning people in the public square. This is what these people were doing to their own people. But when they got here, we sure didn't have a chance. But the people that ran here knew something we didn't know. They knew what these people were like, and they knew we didn't know. But they had already also been misled about us. They were told that we were cannibals. We were not. We were not the people that went over there trying to civilize them. Those were brothers from Africa, because they were all on a similar continent. We were over here on some whole other stuff. Everybody came here. We didn't go there.
Okay.
So that even answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Just to sum it up so I'm clear, Neanderthal is pretty much an animal that looks somewhat like a human being, and a white person is a Neanderthal that was mixed with a black person, what we would call African, correct?
That's some of them, but you got to remember now, I've said this before, you must have not listened to previous shows. That's why I tell people, go back and listen to all the shows. The very first one was January the 27th. Listen to the first show and listen to them in order. Today is show number 6. You go to blogtalkradio.com. Up in the right bar, there's a little search thing. You type in Yaffa Bay, American Empire Restored. And then when that page comes up, start from the first show and listen up. However, pale complexion people come about more than one way. Being part Neanderthal is not the only way an individual becomes pale. People become pale by inbreeding through incest. People also become pale when Mother Nature spits them out as an albino. Then there are also the individuals that become pale because Mother Nature spits them out as not what you call an albino, but they spit them out as what you would call a European. That does take place. That does take place. A lot of the people running around here are not really knowing what they are. I can say this to people, and this is where a lot of Europeans blew it. One thing is for sure, like I said, this Neanderthal man that's running around here fitting in, and they're recent descendants that are fitting in, and that's one of the reasons why they keep inbreeding so cold. They can look Arab. They can look Mexican. They can look Egyptian, or what you call modern-day Egyptian. They can look like a half-breed, what you call black person. They can look like what you call Mexican. They can look like what you call white. One thing is for dang sure, and that is melanin-rich people of the Americas that have maintained their copper coloring cannot be confused with a Neanderthal. That's the best I can tell you. Now, everybody else, you're going to have to judge them on their individual nature. But there are people that have their copper coloring that behave like Neanderthals. Probably because that's the part of their genetics that they're tapping into. Because as I've said before, if you're still alive in the United States, there's only one of 3 reasons why if you look like me. And one of the main reasons I've come to figure out is keep us here, to keep us out there as the carrot that they keep dangling in front of paler complexion people as the enemy to watch. So that while they're watching us, they're not looking behind them and seeing the enemy coming up the back, like during the Civil War. They were fighting over freeing black folks, and they didn't see the France at the Mexican border and Britain at the Canadian border. They were getting ready to come in here and cream everybody.
Right.
That was last week's show, I think. See, different shows I kind of do different things, but I'm trying to, I'm going someplace usually. So, it's kind of difficult to say, because some people are like, well, that's why I only hang out with my own, and that's why I only hang out with my own. How do you know what your own is these days? Even when you hang out with people that have all of their copper coloring, some of them are Manchurian candidates and split personality types because they were captured at an early age or kidnapped at an early age or stolen from the hospitals from crack mothers or whatever at an early age or raised up in the foster care system. And these individuals are on some whole other stuff because they've been victimized, like the European had been victimized. That's why a lot of them came over here on some whole other crazy in some instances. And then there were those that came over here totally sane. They just knew they had to get up out of there. But they forgot. They dropped the ball, and now we're all in trouble.
Is there any specific person that you can link back to the Neanderthal bloodline, or is that too hard to do?
Yeah, I can. I don't want to do it on the radio. I know that. Go and read The Synagogue of Satan. Like I told you, it's online. You can read it for free, or you can buy it from Amazon or wherever. You can purchase the book or read it for free. The author of that book laid it all out. Now, he didn't get into the Neanderthal thing like I have, but, he probably wasn't looking up words. He was doing what I don't do. He's going into the historical events, and he's giving you the timeline. He starts from the year 740 and comes all the way down to the year 2006. But he keeps saying it's the Jews, Jews, Jews. And I'm saying there are people that have gotten their bloodline that are doing a lot of things in their names. And some of them are going along with it because they think that it's them and about them, and it's not.
Right.
And then there are some of them that don't have nothing to do with it at all. They don't agree with it at all. And then there are those that were involved in it that tried to step away from it and start exposing it and telling it, and they murdered them. Prime example, if this cat named Madoff really is what you call a so-called Jew, and then he turned around and robbed a string of what you call so-called Jews, then do they really care? Or are they really Jews? Or are they saying they're Jews and they're not but are lying?